Namaste. Hello, everyone. My name is Angeline. Today we're going to do a yin yoga practice that focuses on the lung and spleen meridians. These meridians are associated with the emotions of worry and pensiveness, basically obsessive thinking. And anytime that you're thinking too much or worrying, it's said to knot up the chi in the spleen meridian, which will in turn will also affect the lungs as well, and that can cause like breathing issues and whatnot. So we're going to focus on these today and see if we can do something about that. So the first thing we like to do is just come to a simple cross leg seated position. You can sit in hero's pose if you're more comfortable with that, but we're going to close our eyes and we're just going to come to our mat, come to our practice. This is Charlene, by the way. She likes to be in the yoga practice with me, so hopefully you don't mind that. We're going to close our eyes and breathe in through our nose. As you breathe into your nose, you're going to fill up your belly, fill up the chest. Let those collarbones lift as that chest completely fills up. And then exhale everything out through the nose. You start to feel the collarbones fall, the chest deflates, and then the belly. And then we're just going to breathe through our nose again. And this is known as the 3-part breath. If you can, try to let the breaths be the same length. So breathing in maybe to the count of 5, and then breathing out to the count of 5. And as you come more into your practice, you can let those numbers be a little bit longer. We're also going to come to the awareness of using a mantra in our practice today. And today's mantra is going to be, all is well, I am safe. In our yin practice, we're only going to go to what is known as our appropriate edge, and that's just coming into your pose to a place where you just start to feel sensation, because we hold the poses a little longer, anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes. You don't want to go to your full max because you can strain some of the connective tissue that we're working on, which is the ligaments, tendons, and fascia. And you may actually feel more sore afterwards. Go ahead and open your eyes. We're just going to start with a few neck stretches. So go ahead and take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, drop your right ear to your right shoulder. You can take that right hand on the outside, the left side of your head. You're not really pulling, you're just allowing there to be some weight there. Continuing to breathe in and out through the nose. last inhale and exhale. Release that hand. Bring your head back to center. Take another deep inhale. Lift through your spine. Exhale. Drop that left ear to the left shoulder. Bring the left hand on the outside of the right side of your head. Charlene hears her little friends out there. One last deep inhale, then exhale. Release your hand, come back to center. We're going to inhale, lift through the spine. Exhale, turn your head over that right shoulder. You can take that left hand and kind of press that chin a little bit more. Again, not forcing anything, you're just adding some pressure to help with the stretch as you breathe out. Release your hand, turn your head back to center. Take another deep inhale through your nose. Exhale, turn your head to the left. Exhale, and again, take that right hand. You can put some pressure just a bit when you exhale and looking over that left shoulder. Release back to center. Now we're going to interlace our fingers. Take your hands on the back of your head. Line those thumbs up where there's a little ledge at the bottom of your head right above the neck. That's the occipital ledge. So you want the thumbs to rest there. Take your elbows and bring them forward. Inhale and lift up. Exhale, tuck the chin towards your chest, letting those elbows come down towards the floor. Just going to take a few breaths here. Go ahead, inhale, release those hands, lift your head back up to center, and we're going to come into a toe squat. So this is a really nice asana to work all the meridians in the lower body. There's 6 of them. So for me, the best way to get into this pose is just to tuck my toes, make sure you get that pinky toe, and then slide that foot back to where that your knee is right under your hip. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then once you're here, you're just going to sit up and sit back onto those toes. This can be very shocking at first if you're not ready, and if you don't have a lot of mobility in the bottom of your feet in that plantar fascia. So if that's the case, you can lean onto your hands and then just kind of press through the bottoms of your feet towards the back of your mat. If you do have that mobility, you can come up onto your heels. Just sit here. You can take a blanket underneath if you want. Some days are more flexible than others, such as life, right? Some days just flow a lot better and easier than others. We're going to go ahead and lean onto our hands, untuck those toes, and just tap them onto your mat. Just kind of move that energy back through the feet, up the legs. We're going to come into an ankle stretch. So you just want to point your feet back. You're going to sit back onto those heels. Here, you can lean back onto your hands, lift those knees up off the mat. If that is too much, just come back onto your hands and stretch back as much as you can without causing any pain or discomfort. Anytime in your yin practice or any yoga practice, if you experience sharpshooting pain, you want to stop immediately and adjust, readjust, modify if you need to. Throughout our practice, we're going to keep coming back to that breath and using it to anchor us through the asana. We're going to inhale, bring ourselves back up. Fold forward onto your hands and just tuck or tap those toes again. You can kind of circle your ankles here if you want. And then we're going to come into a nice squat. So if your heels don't want to come to the mat, you can use a blanket. You want your feet to be about a 45-degree angle. So the heels are going to come toward one another and your toes are going to point out. You're going to bring those knees on the elbows on the inside of your knees, and you can press into those knees to kind of open up the legs a little bit as you let that tailbone drop down towards the floor. Lift up through your head toward the ceiling. Elongate that spine as much as you can. Try to sit as erect as you possibly can. We're going to be here about 3 minutes. So in yin, there's 3 principles. The first one we already spoke of, which is coming to your appropriate edge in your asana. And the second principle is finding stillness in that asana. The third principle is holding for the amount of time that we are choosing to be in our asana, which for most of these is going to be about 3 minutes. Anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes is, I would say, considered pretty beginner-ish for yin. Once you're holding your poses longer than 3 minutes, I would consider that more of an intermediate practice. And again, as with anything in life, if you find yourself having challenges or difficulty with this practice, try to give yourself a chance to really progress. Don't try it once and give up because you feel like you didn't do it right or it wasn't that effective. Sometimes when we do things, we're not exactly aware of how they're affecting us in the moment. And it's not until some time later that we process it and realize the significance or its benefit. We're just about there. Continue to breathe in and out through your nose. We're going to slowly bring your hands down, walk them forward. And for me, I just like to bring one knee at a time down. Here, let's go ahead and go into a first downward facing dog of the day. And you can walk that dog out, pedaling your feet, press both heels towards the mat, lift the hips up towards the ceiling. And then we're just gonna come back to our mat. And we're gonna go into a nice supported bridge. So again, working with that spleen meridian, which starts in the big toe, runs up the front of your leg, through the front of your body, comes up to about here, and then cuts back down underneath the underarm a bit. So you want to lay back on your back, take your block, and find whichever height works best for you. Again, we're going to be here 3 minutes, so don't try to go to your full max just yet. So I'm going to start here just to see where I'm at today. So slide that block underneath, and you want to line it up where the top of your block matches if you were wearing a belt, right where that belt would be around the waist. So you want the block really underneath the sacrum to support yourself. So also, because we're working on our lung meridian, which starts kind of on the shoulder and then goes down the front of the arm and ends in the thumb. We're going to bring those arms up overhead. And here you can walk the legs straight out if you want. Try not to let your feet roll out to the side. Try to keep the toes pointed. The kneecaps are lifted toward the ceiling a bit. Internally rotate those thighs. You really want to feel that stretch in the front part of the body to really work the spleen. And we're going to get into the stomach a little bit here as well. Typically in yin, you don't need too many props, but I would suggest maybe having a blanket and blocks around. Anytime you're in a pose for a while, if you feel you need the support, you're more than welcome to grab whatever you need to kind of give yourself that support. Your practice is your own practice. You don't really have to do it just exactly like me. As long as you're doing the proper alignment and getting the effect where we want it, which here we're really trying to focus on the front of the body through the hips and the quads. That should suffice. Doing a little bit in the upper arms too. Go ahead and slowly bend one leg at a time to come out of this asana. Take another nice deep breath in. As you exhale, you want to press through your feet and lift those hips. Take that block out to the side. Here, let's just go ahead and grab our knees and bring them into our chest. And then we'll just give ourselves a little low back massage by rocking back and forth. In between your yin asanas, you're doing what's called a transition pose. It just kind of helps move the blood back through the body some more, and it helps the energy float back into spaces that we kind of maybe had that energy cut off while we were in the asana. So here we're going to come into a melting heart. So you just want to come up onto all fours. The hips are going to be right above the knees. You're going to walk your hands out as if you were coming into a child's pose. Now, if your hips want to make you lean forward when you come down, you can press back in your hands and move those hips back behind the knees a bit. And then just bring your head down. You can bring your forehead down to the floor, to a block, to a blanket. If you feel some pinching in the upper arms, then just walk your arms a little wider into like a Y shape. And again, we're just committing to about 3 minutes. So find that flow in your breath. Just write it out through the time that you have in this asana. You're going to let the chest and belly come down towards the floor as much as it can. Just about there. This asana is really getting into the lung meridian. Slowly inhale and push yourself back up, walking those fingers back towards your knees, and then we're just going to come into cow here. So we're going to inhale, bring your tailbone and head up as the belly drops, and then exhale, bring the head and tailbone toward one another as the upper back rounds towards the ceiling. Inhale, drop the belly down. Exhale, round your upper back. One more time. And exhale into cat. We're going to come down onto our belly into a Sphinx pose. So here, if you want to take a blanket and bring it right under your hips, your lower abdomen, you can do that. Again, we're going to be here 3 minutes. Take those elbows and you want them right under the chest. You're just going to press the hands down. You can bring your hands together if you want, your palms toward one another. Relax the glutes and the hamstrings. If this is too much for your low back, you can walk your elbows forward and that'll bring you down a little bit more. Again, finding that breath, breathing in through your nose, that 3-part breath. If at any time you feel the breath is a little choppy or labored, you can breathe out through the mouth, but you always want to breathe in through your nose. And just breathe out through your mouth until that breath relaxes, and then you just breathe, continue to breathe in and out through the nose. Just about there. We're going to go ahead and push ourselves back up. And we're going to come into a child's pose, but we're going to keep our knees together. And we're going to stack our fists on top of one another and bring our head on top of those fists. And we're just going to take a few breaths here. Our next asana that we're coming into is frog. So frog can be very challenging. If you don't have a lot of mobility in the hips, or if you have issues with your knees, you might want to just come into this very basic kind of modification. It's called tadpole. So you're going to walk your knees wide, bring those toes together, keep your hips up, bring the arms forward, and then you're just going to come here, and this is going to be your baby frog. And this is totally okay and perfect for you if that's where you can go. If you want to take a fuller version, so you're going to walk those knees, slide them out right from the hip socket. You're going to come down onto your elbows and then walk those ankles out to where they line up with the knees. We're going to be here for about 3 minutes. If you can make it all the way down to the floor with your belly laying on the floor, go ahead and do that. If not, just keep those hips up. You can have a blanket under your stomach if you want to kind of give you a little bit more of a lift or support. If you want to take your arms up overhead, you can do that. You can bring your chin to the floor. Again, we're just about there. Don't give up. Staying connected to that breath, allowing yourself to be aware of the sensations you're feeling in your body. Sometimes it's helpful to think of bringing in fresh oxygen and nutrients as you breathe in, letting it go wherever it needs to go in your body. And then as you breathe out, you're breathing out all the old stagnant energy, any tension, stiffness, restriction. You're breathing that all out of your body. Slowly bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. Bring in one ankle at a time, and then press yourself back up, and then push through your hands and bring one knee toward the middle, one at a time. Again, we're just going to sit back to a child's pose. You can bring your arms out in front of you if you want here, or you can bring them back behind you, bringing the head down, letting the hips drop towards the heels. And we're coming into our next asana, which is going to be cat pulling its tail. So you're basically going to lay on your left side. I'm going to head and turn my timer on. Take your arm straight across. Take your top leg, and it can go straight across from your body, just like your arm. Bend that left leg. Bring the left foot into the right hand. And then roll your body back to the mat where both of the shoulder blades are on the floor. And then the top leg, if it doesn't want to stay straight and it wants to bend, go ahead and let it. But if you can, try to keep the hips stacked. You don't really want both glutes on the floor so much. You do want to feel a stretch in the front of that left quad and that hip flexor area. Again, we're just going to be here about 3 minutes. Just about there. You're going to release that grasp of the right hand on the left foot. You're going to go ahead and roll over onto your back. And you're just going to bring those knees toward one another. Walk those feet wide. Hands are down by the hips, and we'll take a few breaths here. Just feeling how the body is acclimating to the changes, the energetic shifting of energy. You might experience this like a warm rush of fluid, or it could even feel cold. You can feel like it just wakes up out of nowhere. We're going to come to the other side. So we're going to lay that left arm out, left leg out, bend that right knee, bring that right foot into the left hand, and then we're just going to roll back, keeping that right foot towards that right glute. Again, try to stack your hips, keeping that top leg straight or bent, but you want to kind of have it walking out across from your body. Both of his shoulder blades are going to still be on the floor though. brace that holds on the foot. Straighten that bottom leg out. Bend those knees. Come back to your back. Bring the knees together. Walk the feet wide. We're just going to take a few breaths here. Go ahead and bring yourself back up to a seated position. We're going to come into a saddle pose. So if you have a yoga wheel, I would suggest you using it if you can't come back into saddle easily. Or you can make a little bolster for yourself by taking your blocks, and you can actually just kind of set them up like this. Take your blanket, lay it over. When you bring your legs and feet together, you want your knees to be about hip width distance. You're going to walk the feet a little bit wider, and then you're just going to sit back, bring the glutes in between the feet, and then you just bring yourself back. And we're just going to be here about 2 minutes. I am going to use my yoga wheel, so if this proves to be too difficult, you can go up the wall. You can do a minute each leg up the wall. So basically you would just go to the wall and just put one leg forward. Actually, I can't remember how to do up the wall. Oh yeah, you just take your leg like that, and then bring yourself up. So you can use this knee for support, but you're going to feel a nice stretch in the front of this leg. So again, however you feel, you can come into this. Find your appropriate edge. If you can bring your arms up overhead, go ahead and do that here. That can work into your lung meridian a little bit more. Take an inhale and lift yourself up by first tucking that chin towards your chest, and then slowly walk yourself back up to a seated position. Here we can come into a wide leg child's pose. Take a few breaths. Push yourself back up, and we're going to come back onto our backs again, and we're going to come into a twisted roots. So when you lay back on your back, you want to take the left leg over the right. You can push through that right foot, shift those hips toward the left, walk that right foot over towards the left, and then drop both knees towards the right. Inhale, lift your head up, and look over that left arm or shoulder towards the left fingertips if you can. So both arms are out into a little T shape. You can take them into what is known as like a cactus, or you can bring them up overhead if you want to work into the lung meridian a little bit more. And for those of you who are aware of Ujjayi breath, that is the ideal breath that I would use during my yin practice. And that breath is just basically breathing in and out through the nose, but you're going to have a little constriction in the throat. Basically as if you were trying to fog up a mirror or something, but you're doing it with your mouth closed. And you're doing it as you breathe out and as you breathe in. So there's like a little ocean sound to that breath. So if you notice my breath is pretty audible, it's for that reason. Also, personally, I find it a little bit extra meditative, and especially when Charlene's up here and she's sleeping and you hear her snores, it just makes it makes my body just feel more relaxed. We're going to go ahead, inhale, bring your head back to center, engage your core, bring those knees back to the middle, shift those hips back down through the center. We're just going to do the same thing, bringing our knees together, walk those feet wide. You can move them very slowly and gently if you want into like a little windshield wiper. Or you can just keep them stationary if that works best for you. And then we're just going to set up for the other side. So this time we're going to take our right knee over the left, press through that left foot, shift those hips to the right, walk that left foot towards the right, drop those knees down toward the left. Inhale, lift the head, look over that right shoulder, or take those arms straight up overhead. to center. Engaging your cores, bring them back, your feet back, or knees back toward the center. Bring those knees together, hands down by your hips, feet wide. Just going to take a few breaths here. Again, remembering our mantra for the practice, all is well and I am safe. And allow yourself to just relax in that thought and that feeling. Our practice is a really good place to allow ourselves to experience sensations and feelings and emotions, and basically breathing through them as we experience them. If they bring us any discomfort, we can sit with them for a bit and just, again, focusing on that breath, ride out that sensation until it subsides. And Shavasana is a wonderful place to fully appreciate the work you just did today, to really let yourself fully acclimate to the new shifts in energy that you possess, allowing your body to kind of process what it just went through and to prepare to come back to the world ready and able and willing to do whatever it is that you need it to do today. If you want to take your legs long and bring those feet out toward the corner of the mat, gently tuck the shoulder blades toward one another and down towards your glutes. We're just going to be in our Shavasana for a few minutes here. Slowly start to deepen your breath, breathing into the belly. Exhale everything out. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. If you want to stay in your Shavasana a little bit longer, I would encourage you to do so. But if this is all the time you have, let's go ahead and come out. Bring your feet together, raise those arms up overhead, inhale and stretch through the length of your body. Exhale, roll over to whichever side feels best for you. Just going to take a few breaths there. Go ahead and bring yourself back up to a seated position with your eyes closed, your hands on your knees. You can have the palms up or palms down. Just take a few moments here, taking nice deep breaths. Let's bring our hands in front of our heart to Angeline Mudra. Nice deep inhale through the nose. Exhale. Peace and namaste. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this session. If you did, please push the like button and also subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. I will definitely have more videos coming, and eventually we will branch out into other arenas like meditation, maybe discussions on energy work, definitely different types of yoga. Yin is my main focus, but we can do some beginner, gentle, restorative, vinyasa flows. So I look forward to working with you more and hope you enjoyed this session. Namaste. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.